All right, peoples, what's going on? Welcome back to Channel Anderson and welcome to another 190E video. Mike's over with me today and we are working on trying to make some further progress. He's messing with finishing up our brake lines for our new nice Porsche brakes that we put on in the last video you guys saw on this thing. And I am getting this thing ready to start trying to test fit. Shout out to Mexipoku, company overseas that makes these M111 engine mount adapters for the 201 and 124 chassis. Not necessarily adapters, I guess just new arms that will allow you to run the factory style 190E mounts. These are actually from Garagistic, they're polyurethane filled, but OE mount to mount it in the OEM location and basically situate the motor exactly how the M102 would have been sitting in here previously. So kind of ready for that point. The motor is for the most part refreshed from what I was going to do to it. I do need to fill up the supercharger oil, still need to fill up the motor with oil, and then I need to get belts for everything that we refresh. We've put basically all new components, accessory components in the front. And the last thing I'm still figuring out what I want to do is a power steering pump. I can either make adapter fittings to keep the 203 style pump on here, or I can get the kit that allows you to run the earlier power steering pump that these cars would have come with, 124 would have came with, to reuse the factory lines. But kind of leading towards sticking with this just because they're easier to find nowadays, and you can still buy them off the shelf for the most part, but older ones not so much. So kind of just using what we already have. And then aside from that, once we have the motor on the actual crane and we are situating, and once we get to the point where we know what we got going on, then I'll start mounting up our flywheel. I have two options essentially. The stock stuff that came off was still in pretty good shape. The clutch was even in good shape and didn't have a ton of miles, somewhere around 100,000. But we do have a brand new setup also from the Kangaroos team, so I'll likely end up mounting that. So it's a 240 millimeter flywheel, lightweight, single mass, and a probably like diesel rated clutch. So we'll get to that later on, but for now, getting these situated. They're really nice pieces, powder coated, and they're labeled, which is nice for which side. So this will go on this side, and I was hoping we could get the stock ones to work, but this just is not going to situate the motor right. And rather than, you know, fighting it and trying to come up with different solutions, people out there already have them. So I looked around. There are OEM arms that you can use and find, if you can find them nowadays, but when you do find them, typically they're really expensive unless you get lucky and find, you know, an M111 or M102 based 124 or whatever else. So it's just easier. I think these were like $250 for the engine arms and the trans bracket. So it was one of those times where you just save the headache and spend the money, and it was worthwhile, I think. So get these mounted up, show you guys what they look like once everything's situated, and then we'll keep moving from there. All right, guys, there's one side mounted up, and you can tell the angle on these, we would have been fighting for a long time trying to get these to sit right, and never would have happened. It's significantly different. Nice thing, they include the hardware in the kit, so that's always a bonus when you order stuff like this. Yeah, so far mounted up great. Throw the engine mount on, move on to the other side. All right, guys, mount is on. I cannot fit the heat shields, not designed to be used with these. I'm sure they would fit with maybe like a 124 or 201 chassis heat shield, but instead I had these laying around off a set of, I don't even know, E-class mounts or something that were on my shelf. So this at least provide a little bit of protection to the actual mount, but I think we'll be okay. These are a lot more, get a lot more airflow than, let's say, like the V8s and stuff, and probably not going to produce anywhere near the heat. So this side, nice and easy to get to. Let's go ahead, swap this out, and we'll compare the shape of this versus the new one. All right, one design flaw, feedback for these. The bottom two bolts, you can't really get to with a socket. Doesn't want to fit over. So kind of had to force fit the scenario, use a wrench instead of the ratchet on these bottom two, and then this bottom right one you have to start first, basically before the mount is on. I had to kind of force that bolt through the hole in the back side of the mount and then start to thread it in. If you do that one last, then you're out of luck. So yeah, all good. I mean, not too bad, all things considered, but just a little bit of feedback for the maker. All right, you guys, Mike worked his magic. Finished up our brake tee right there for the front lines. The rear one we already had done in the last video you guys saw with the little brake bias adjuster. So that will be finished up once we get to the rears to call it all the way good. But for now, that's out of the way and done. So I think at this point, got the engine hoist out. Try to get this thing. Okay, as I was saying before I got cut off by the GoPro, this is pretty much situated ready. Got to figure out what we did for mounting it on here, hooking it on here. And then once we have it off, we can do a test fit, see how things line up, and go from there. Ready? All right, guys, motor is on the hoist crane. Leaving it as is for now. We'll test fit it and then kind of go from there. I believe I'm gonna have to clearance out the tunnel a little bit to finish or fix the 716 in there. So we'll get to that at a later date. But now, just test fit this in. I'm pretty sure we're missing a bracket. I don't know what I did with it. So we're a little bit tilted, but I think we'll be able to situate it in okay. Just pressing as we go through. So fingers crossed. All right, you guys, looks like our headers, which was a question from the get-go because they're designed for 203 coupe, are gonna make contact in the back. You see where the steering, whatever you call it, link and little member over here connect. So most likely gonna have to cut at least this one and extend it back. This one might be able to stick there, so we'll test with taking off just the outside one first, and then I removed the supercharger just to be able to get the headers off right now. Luckily, pretty much everything on this motor is super easy to work on and get on and off versus the V8s, etc. So yeah, we'll test fit after we get that one side off. If that doesn't fit, we'll take both off and kind of mark where it could be possible to fit. I have this whole OBX setup that was, like I said, designed for 203 coupe. If you guys remember way back when, this whole setup, OBX, is designed for the coupe. If you guys remember way back when, I bought this on Walmart along with the M113 long tubes when they were like just flooding out their wholesale stock from OBX and a few other brands going out of business, or at least getting rid of their supply for the Mercedes stuff. So I think we bought this whole like headers and this basically almost full exhaust for, I can't remember, like $75 or something crazy. So I figured it would come in handy. I knew we were most likely gonna have to modify it and fabricate a little bit to get it to fit, but it at least gives us a good base to start with. And obviously the header design, much better flowing than the stock setup. So figure out what we got to do to make it work. Luckily, I am 1/10 of a welder now, so if I had to figure something out, maybe I could try. I was just practicing again the other day, and I've got it down pretty good with this little Harbor Freight machine. So we'll see what happens. But anyways, put you guys back on time lapse, see if we can get this thing sitting in here. All right, you guys, almost 2 years later, we have the M111K sitting in the 190E. Plopped down okay, so now it's just gonna come down to what we gotta do to get these headers to work. And like I said, most likely we'll just have to basically cut at the most straight section we can find here and extend it. And that should allow, probably just like by, I don't know, 2 inches, 3 inches or so. And that should allow room, and there's plenty of room in the back. So we could probably extend it like 4 or 5 inches if we needed to. Get it to work. And then from there, with the way the other section of the exhaust is set up, honestly, we probably don't have to do anything to this. We'll just connect this on from where it's at and then modify this accordingly how it needs to sit underneath the car, which I really have no idea right now until we get under there. And I'm not familiar with 201s enough to know what their stock exhaust running situation is. So it's just a trial by trial basis and see what happens. But cool to have it sitting in here. Looks like we got everything cleared on this side.
That's kind of where you want those to sit almost.
And our front sump definitely came in clutch. Shout out to our subscriber that supplied that for us. Because there's no way it would have fit with the rear sump, as is known in the 201 M111 swap community. So all right guys, well, I realized I didn't really make an outro to this video and talk about just kind of what we were able to accomplish, but here it is again, the motor sitting in here. And I wanted to finish off with a few kind of thoughts, ideas as we close things out. Number one, while yes, extremely exciting that we finally got that thing in the engine bay, there's obviously still a lot to do. Next thing up for me right now is still waiting on Josh to get the ECU all done and ready for us to come back and test it. We obviously need to tie in the power for motor and chassis and get everything kind of figured out wiring wise, which honestly is the biggest kind of hindrance for me. My skill level with all of that stuff is low, I would say, out of everything that I know how to do. So it's going to be a lot of learning still for me. And then we talked about, we have our headers here that we're going to need to extend. I ordered the pieces that we are going to try to use to make that happen. And I will do my best with my Harbor Freight welder. We'll see what's going to happen with that. From what I'm reading, using the MIG on the stainless can actually make it quite brittle. So I don't know, you guys chime in, let me know. I know there's some of you out there that are much more experienced when it comes to welding than I am. So if that's true and you guys think it would be better off for me to just take it to somebody to do, let me know, because I'm fine doing that. It probably wouldn't cost much, to be honest. I'll cut everything, get everything ready for them, and then just bring it to them, tell them what I need. And I have a good exhaust shop down the street from me that will probably take it on. So yeah, I might just go that route regardless, but it'd be fun to try to attempt since I am a little more comfortable with our little welder here now. Now, aside from that, you guys just saw the most recent video was our customer's CLK55 manual swap. So I hope you guys enjoyed that if you checked it out. And speaking of that, I need to get the garage organized again, because I basically just, after the big project, just leave things a mess for a few days, come back to it and get things cleaned up. So that's where I'm at. I'm ready to get things cleaned up. I decompressed for a little bit, took a few days off of just not doing anything car stuff, and now keep working through all of the projects that I got going on here in somewhat organized manner. I did actually start putting the interior back together a little bit. We've got that door card on, got this door card on. I still need to make the little block offs since this had power windows in the back, and the car that these door cards came out of were were manual. But we've got a lot of nice stuff going on in here. This is all ugly right now just because I don't have the center console piece on, but that can go on. The carpets and the center dash, we're going to make a bunch of kind of custom pieces so that we don't have to try to find the unobtainium stuff out there for the 190s. Or maybe if I get lucky, I'll get some stuff from a junkyard car. But all of this, like, you know, all these switches and whatnot, it's a lot of old plastic. You can see stuff just breaks off. I don't know what type of plastic they were using for these, but it just totally deteriorates, and it's going to take some time to figure out some plans or find some aftermarket pieces or whatever. But yeah, if you guys haven't watched when we converted the interior, it made a very dramatic difference to what we got going on. And then of course you guys saw the wheels and the big brake upgrade. When it's ready, the next big kind of video for this thing will be, well, obviously the progress on the engine and trying to fit the transmission. We'll probably roll it back into the garage at some point. And then also I'm going to end up dropping the rear subframe, and we're going to do subframe bushings. We're going to do the rear brake upgrade to match the fronts, and we've got a bunch of little pieces from it, from Garagistic and a few other companies. So all of that is sitting here. We've got our subframe bushings. Oh, and we still got the rear coilovers to throw in. So yeah, there's lots left on this car, but it's fun to just kind of slowly chew my way through it. I talked about this in the last video. I was way overzealous with the timeline scope of things, or what I thought was going to be the timeline scope of things when I first started this project. And it's nice to just kind of whittle away at it when I get the chance in between the other projects. Obviously when I get customer cars, that kind of takes precedent over everything. When a customer car is here, it's my only focus until it's done. And that obviously puts this and other projects on the back burner. So right now I've got some time. Obviously every time I release a manual swap video, I get a lot of interest from potential customers. So we'll see what happens in the next few months. But as of now, I have a clear schedule at least till like December time to do my own stuff. And there's so much that we have put on the back burner from doing the customer swaps and just life, having a new child, and, you know, taking care of 2 kids versus 1 now, and my wife, family, everybody. It just is time consuming, and that is priority number 1. So the whole car thing and everything is, I've just been kind of taking it easy. It'll come in time, and when it's supposed to happen, all these things will happen. So we've got, you know, the differential for the C55. I know you guys keep asking about that. I didn't forget. We'll get that underway at some point. We've got upgrades for the CLK55 and just a bunch of other stuff. Of course, you guys know this. I talk about this all the time. But yeah, again, thank you to Mexipoku for the parts to make mounting this thing way easier than it was going to be if I tried to makeshift something myself. And I'm excited to try out his trans bracket mount too at a later date once we're ready to throw the gearbox in. I do have a full Kangaroos team flywheel kit somewhere over here. This is one of them. I've got a 240mm disc right there. And we have the stock assembly as well. The stock assembly I took out was in pretty good shape, so we could go either way. But I think for what we're doing with this car, it'll be more fun with the Kangaroos team single mass flywheel. Keep it lightweight and engaging and just raw, visceral. That's what we're going for. Just no extras, nannies, bare bones, fun, minimal, reliable, cheap, easy, just awesomeness. So that's what we're aiming for the 190E. If you guys just now are seeing this project, I have lots of videos under the moniker Benzin on a Budget. So feel free to check those out while the rest of the progress is loading. And I will catch you guys soon on the next video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, peace.
Handatsen.